Rev up your engines!
Well, should you buy a car before prices rise because of the new tariff? If it actually comes to fruition and over a long period of time, there's a 25% tariff on cars imported in the United States, and this time they say it's going to include Canada and Mexico. They said there was going to be a little thing where they weren't going to be included, but now I guess they're saying, who knows, it changes from day to day, but they're saying that there's going to be a 25% tax. Well, if that's the case, the price of new cars will go up. And if you know anything about economics, when the price of new cars goes up, guess what? The price of used cars goes up too, right? That's just how it goes. Because they'll say, well, look, the new car costs $80,000, so you're getting this used one. It's only $50,000, right? If you need to buy a car and you're worried, hey, buy it before they do it. But, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of talk going on here, a lot of saber rattling. Who knows what's actually going to happen in the real world? Because that's still after April 3rd or whatever. We'll see what's going to happen. And then you can kind of make your decisions. But if you're a worrywart, certainly buy the car now if you can get a good deal, right? Gosh, who knows what's going to happen, right? And then once it's happened, it's too late after that. Well, you can always look on the sunny side of anything. Well, Trump's auto tariffs could make used cars great again. Because if they're going to keep raising the price of new cars, people will go back to buying used cars. And if you really think about it, okay, you buy a brand new car, the next day it's a used car, right? So basically, except for the first day of ownership, we're all driving around in used cars anyways. And it can also lead to something that I've done my whole life that saves people a lot of money. I have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars not buying new cars, buying cheap used cars, right? I'm a mechanic, sure, but it can be done by other people if you do it right. If you know a guy like me who can check it out for you before you buy it, right? Used cars, you're always going to get a better deal because the new cars, they have to make a profit at the dealership, right? When somebody is selling their car, they need money, right? That's why they're selling their car. If it's a junky car, maybe they're selling it them, but then you have a mechanic check it out, you don't buy the junky one. You buy the one that somebody needs money. One of the few things that people own that they can get decent money for quick is a car. Try selling your house. It might take a year to sell it, right? And the money might not come for quite some time. We sold my mother's house when she moved out into a assisted living, and believe me, the house sold. It was 9 months later that the money was actually in the bank. So take advantage of the fact that buying a used car, if you have cash, or it doesn't even matter if you have cash, a lot of banks will loan you money and then you get the cash, you give it to the people. You're giving them cash, doesn't make any difference, right? It doesn't matter what they're asking for the car. Because, okay, you go to a used car lot, you buy a car, so they want $12,000. They'll finance it, so you pay so much a month. Go to somebody who's selling it on their own, the same car for $12,000, and you just say, I'm not paying you $12,000. I can only afford $250 a month, and that's what I can get over there. So you say, well, what will you take? And then you can sell it to you less. The car lots won't care. They won't come down because they're giving you a note and you're paying them by the month. But you're paying cash to people, the price goes down. So this may be actually a boon for America. Drive your car longer. It's probably got a lot of life. Who needs a new car anyways? I've never personally ever bought one. Now, there's some cars that depreciate like mad. And if you want to buy them, my advice is, hey, buy them used. You're going to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, one of them is Cadillac Escalade ESV. That stands for Escalade Stretch Vehicle. The Escalades, after 5 years, lose 62.9% of their original value, which means you can get them for $57,000 less. Hey, I'm not a fan, but if you want to buy one, hey, get a used one, right? Another one is the Tesla Model X. In 5 years, it loses 63.4%, which means you've lost $54,000. So why not buy one for $54,000 cheaper? I have had customers that do that, right? Another one is the Nissan Leaf. It loses 64.1% of their value. Now, that's only $18,000 because they cost less. But still, you're saving all that money, 64% of the original price. And I have had customers buy Nissan Leafs used, and they were relatively happy with them. Now, another one that I'd really say, if you want to get one, get an Infiniti QX80 used, because they lose even more of their value. They lose over 65% of their value. If you can find a lower mileage one, you could get it. an Infiniti QX80. But this, I'm going to tell you something. There is a giant but on this car. Do not buy one that has over 100,000 miles because they generally fall apart. So if you can find a low mileage one, save all that money. But don't go out and buy one that's got 150,000 miles because it will fall apart in front of your very eyes. Also, the BMW 7 Series. They lose 67% of their value, but the king of it is the Jaguar I-Pace. Loses 72.2% of its value after 5 years, which is $52,000 less. Now, I never advise people to buy Jaguars in the first place, right? Especially an electric one, but what the heck? You could do as one of my customers did years ago in Houston. She had to have a Jaguar, so she said, Scotty, I bought a used one. And then she got rid of it after 3 years. She spent a little bit of money, but she didn't lose that $52,000 because she bought it used. So, you're hankering to buy one of those? Go ahead, try it used. There's $52,000 at least you won't lose right off the bat. Well, the British car manufacturers are trying to figure out what to do with Trump and his 25% tariffs on British cars, whether you knew it or not. They sold 101,000 vehicles last year in the U.S. for about 9 billion pounds. So it's over $10 billion, right? Who knew that? Who's buying these British cars? Got me kind of wondering. They don't make such great cars, right? I guess Jaguar people snob cars, Bentleys. Oh, I happen to drive in a Bentley, right? So there must be some fools out there buying British cars. But that is their biggest export to the U.S. Wow, I wouldn't even have known that, right? So, now the British manufacturers are whining. And you know what they're doing? They're doing what the Brits always do. They want the government to subsidize it. They're saying, well, you need to give us money to help us out. Oh, we're having problems. Help us out, government. Give us money, give us money, give us money. Just like the American companies. Only there, they got away with it more in England. People, I saw a thing the other day that the government is involved in so much stuff there that 60-something% of the British population is on public assistance of some sort. So, you know, they're used to asking for the government for stuff. And now, well, the Americans won't buy our cars. Please, give us some more money, please, so we can still build them. I'm just totally shocked that Americans bought that many British cars. I wouldn't have thought it was that large because they don't make very good cars. Look at a Bentley that's $200,000-$300,000, right? And then when they're like 10 years old, you pick up for 10 grand because they're piles of junk. Well, Ford is at it again with lack of quality. Nearly 1.3 million Ford F-150 trucks are being investigated over a potential transmission issue. This is the NHTSA. And this time, it's a bit of a radical change. You realize Ford's all kind of problem with their 10-speed automatic transmissions that they have. The one they developed with GM and Ford. Well, this is strictly a Ford problem. Because instead of having problems with the 10-speed, which do have problems, this is a 6-speed automatic transmission. It is for 2015 to 2017 F-150 vehicles that have that 6-speed automatic transmission. The majority of their profits on their F-150 line. And if they're screwing up like this, I just can't believe that Farley's still the CEO. It doesn't make any sense. They got so many problems. He's the head, and as the old president of the United States, Harry Truman, said he had a sign that says the buck stops here. If there's a problem, he's the one that's supposed to deal with it. Not, well, we got these problems, we'll work on them like Farley. We're going to work on quality control. We're going to work on this. No, it's not working out, right? They keep having problem after problem after problem. And now it's their all-time favorite F-150s, and it's not even that complex 10-speed. It's the precursor, the 6-speed, and they're having problems with them. It can cause the rear wheels to temporarily lock, seize, or just stop working. You can either not get going, or if it locks up, then you imagine going down the road 65 miles an hour, the rear wheels lock up. And these are Fords that have just rear wheel drive. If you have only rear wheel drive and your rear wheels lock up, you are in trouble. So as usual, Ford is getting itself into deep doo-doo from lack of building them correctly. Well, Hyundai now has their Ioniq 9 electric family hauler, they're calling it, in production at the Hyundai Meta plant in the United States. So that won't be affected by any tariffs when and if they come, right? I find it kind of funny. They're going to have a brand new one out in 2026, which means they're going to make it this year, end of 2025. That's how cars are. If something's made in like October, September, whatever, 2025, they call it a 2026 model because they always want to get the new models out, right? So, oh, there's a new model. Look, you can buy it. Whether it's different or not doesn't matter. But they're calling it the Ioniq 9, which is their flagship electric sport utility vehicle. Okay? It's not an electric sports utility vehicle. It's a station wagon. They just don't like using that word. Look at it. That car is a station wagon. Hey, I'm all for station wagons. Not a big fan of electric cars. But let's call a spade, as the saying goes. Check it out. That is not a sports utility. That's a station wagon, people. Admit you're selling station wagons. A lot of people in the United States like station wagons. Call it what it really is, And, hey, made in the United States. We'll see what happens, I kind of wonder myself because people who buy station wagons do long-distance driving. Electric vehicles and long-distance driving, it's kind of like oil and water. It doesn't really mix that well. Well, we'll see as time goes on how this station wagon sells once they start making it at the end of the year in the United States. Well, they tried making those Wankel rotary engines for a long time, and unfortunately, they were all more or less massive failures. They tried them in motorcycles. They tried them in cars. Mazda's the one that kept trying to push it. But they always had a couple of big problems. And the numero uno one was they got horrible gas mileage. What's the point of having a small engine? They put out a lot of power for a small engine. And numero two, they often burnt oil because they're rotary, they spin around, and they have these triangular, what they called the rotor assemblies, and each edge had a seal. They called it the apex seal. Instead of a piston that has a piston ring that goes in a round circle, works better, they had these apex seals. They kept burning out, and then they'd burn oil, right? Believe it or not, they actually tried making diesel Wankel engines. Mercedes-Benz tried to make a diesel Wankel, but they failed. They found out that diesels use compression ignition. They don't have a spark, so the pressures have to be more. Well, let's put on our thinking caps. If the stupid gasoline ones can't handle the pressure and the seals kept going bad, what hope is there for a higher compression, more pressure inside diesel engine? Not much, right? Now, Rolls-Royce also tried. And the reason they tried is they wanted to use it for military application. Hence, they wanted them to run on diesel. Because back in the day, after World War II, the Europeans, the English, they wanted to have vehicles that could run on any fuel in case, the Russians, and there's no gasoline, we can only get diesel, or there's no diesel and you can get gasoline. So they made tanks and stuff that could run on anything, so they thought, let's make a Wankel diesel engine. Rolls-Royce tried, and it would have been a great thing if it worked because the military would love it. Oh, look, we got a diesel Wankel engine, rotary engine. They found out two main problems. The first problem was the properties of the rotors and its geometry made it hard to make the compression ratio high enough. The long and thin combustion chamber of a rotary has a high surface to volume ratio, meaning it has a huge heat loss and poor combustion. You want to use all that heat in a diesel engine to make it fire up. You don't care in a gasoline that's firing with a spark plug. It doesn't matter, right? They gave up too. And of course, the huge heat loss has to do with one of the reasons they get such crappy gas mileage. A lot of the heat is just lost, dissipated away. Now, they didn't have a problem with them overheating because all Wankel rotary engines that Mazda used, they were all water-cooled engines. They weren't air-cooled engines, so they could get rid of the heat, but it led for poor gas mileage. So, believe it or not, some fools tried making diesel Wankel rotary engines, and they failed. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.